Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to Prospect Central 101. My name is Chris Robbins, and again, I am joined by the ever amazing,
Braden.
and we are going to do a recap of the Super Bowl. So, first off, congrats to the Eagles and Philly on their first Super Bowl. Blah, 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 whatever. I'm kind of
Please
jealous.
don't burn down your city.
Yeah. Um, That would be great. So, uh, anything you want to start out with first? Any first opening points before we get into some discussion here that you would like to make?
I was off on the score, but I was pretty close. When I said the Eagles would win by 10, so I was pretty close. Up until the point where I said what the score was going to be.
I had the Pats getting 32 points. They ended up with 33.
Yeah. I said the Eagles would win 27-17.
Nice.
So I was pretty close. The Eagles won by 8, so I was pretty close on that point, and obviously the Eagles won. But yeah, I was way off on the score.
So, yeah. Let's actually just get started with that there at the obvious score. For those of you guys who didn't watch it or watching this as an actual recap, the Eagles ended up winning 41 to 33. They outscored the Pats in every quarter but the third. They were up 9 to 3 at the end of the first. Outscored the Pats 13 to 9 in the second. The Pats outscored the Eagles 14 to 7 in the third, and then the Eagles ended up outscoring the Pats 12 to 7 in the fourth quarter to finish it off. So, talking about scores here first. What do you think about those touchdowns? Two touchdowns that arguably, according to some people, could and in possibly some cases you could argue should have been called back. Thoughts on those? The Ertz and the um, what was the other one?
Clement,
Yeah, the Clement touchdowns.
I had no problem with the call. The Clement one was kind of iffy, you know, but I felt that it should have stood because there was no definite, not necessarily definitive proof, but you couldn't say with 100% certainty what the call was, and then in that case it should stand. The call on the field should stand.
Yeah. Okay.
And with the Ertz touchdown, I don't even know why it was reviewed, to be honest.
Well, I remember the Jesse James play.
But the difference is Jesse James caught it and then immediately went to the ground. Ertz took like 3 steps.
And
So
that's
he
why they
caught it,
rolled the way
took
they
three
did.
steps, then dove over the ball. So at that point, he did become a runner. So that call was absolutely correct. I don't think it even warranted a review.
So they would have reviewed it anyway because it was a touchdown. You do know that.
Yeah, but okay, let me recon. It didn't warrant as much of a review as it did. How about that?
Cool. So for those of you guys who maybe were playing DraftKings or NFL Fantasy, whatever, just some basic stats for you guys here. Uh, Passing, Nick Foles was 28 of 43, 373 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick on his way to MVP. Rushing for the Eagles, Blount had 14 and 90 yards, a touchdown, and Ajayi had 9 for 57. And receiving, the Eagles' leading receiver yards-wise was actually Corey Clement, who had 4 for 100 and a touchdown. Nelson Aguilar had 9 for 84. Um, Alshon
Jeffrey had
Jeffrey had
three
3
for
for 73 and a
73.
touchdown. Zach Ertz had 7 for 67 and a touchdown. And Nick Foles had 1 for 1 and a touchdown. And finally, Alshon Jeffrey had 5 for 49. On the
Torrey Smith did had it. Had
on
5 for 49.
on the Patriots side, Tom Brady finished 28 of 48, So semi completions with 5 more attempts, 505 yards, which reset the Super Bowl record, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. However, he did have a key fumble. We'll come back to that later. The rushing stats for the Patriots: James White had 7 for 45 and a touchdown. Dion Lewis had 9 for 39. Rex Burkhead had 3 for 18. And Tom
And then
Brady, Chris Hogan, and Brandon Cooks combined for 3 for 11. Receiving wise, Danny Amendola was the leading receiver. He had 8 for 152. Chris Hogan had 6 for 128 and a touchdown. Gronk had a huge day. He had 9 for 116 and 2 touchdowns.
I'm pretty sure eight of those catches, and what's 116 minus 9? 107. 8 catches in the second half. Gronkowski had like 8 catches for 107 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, so he had a huge second half. And then Rex Burkhead, Brandon Cooks, who got injured, James White, and Philip Dorsett had 5 total catches combined for 46,
About a
23, 21, and 20 and 19. So yeah, we'll say around 100 yards. So
Yeah,
probably a little
Cooks
bit more
got
than that.
absolutely clocked.
And yeah, we'll go into that here actually when we talk about defense. So I don't really think the stacks are that big of a concern on defense outside of Brandon Graham having the first fumble and Deron Harmon having the pick. But defensively, what really, well, actually, first we'll wrap up on offense. What really stood out to you on the offensive side of the ball? We'll start with the Eagles since they won. What did the Eagles do well on offense that led them to win?
The offensive line the offensive line for the Eagles, really for both teams, but the Eagles were absolutely phenomenal in this game. They did not allow a sack. I don't know how many QB hit times he got hit, but I don't think it couldn't have been any more than like 3 or 4. So yeah, the offensive line absolutely had a fantastic day. Um, they had a guy who didn't win MVP, but he considering the lack of carries, I thought he did pretty decent when he had his attempts. LeGarrette Blount had a good day, and Alshon Jeffrey made some ridiculous catches. So yeah, overall, it was a great day. It was a great game for the offense for both teams.
Yeah, so obviously, as you mentioned, Alshon Blunt and Jai, of course. Also, the two guys you didn't mention, I'll go from there. Uh, Zach Ertz, of course. Obviously attracted some attention, really occupied the safety as well. And of course, you can't go without mentioning the Super Bowl MVP, Nick Foles, who this whole postseason, let's just throw this out there. The whole postseason, once Doug Peterson, Frank Reich, and John DeFilippo really worked on those run pass options, really took a step up. So, do you think that after his playoff performances, the Eagles might be able to attract some trigger attention for him?
Oh, absolutely.
What do you think that a team like, I don't know, maybe the Redskins
Broncos.
got Alex Smith? Uh,
Broncos is a bridge quarterback if they don't get Cousins.
sure. What would you, if you're a Broncos fan, what would you be willing to give up for someone like Foles after seeing his performance versus these pretty good defenses these playoffs?
Yeah, I'd say a fourth. I'd say about a fourth round pick
That's
is a
it.
fair. Okay, I just don't know because the postseason. Who's who's a good player? I'm
I'm
trying to think of a player. I know who I'm thinking about. I just can't come up with
Jimmy
his.
Garoppolo.
No, this is a weird reference if you don't watch hockey, but shit. Never mind. I drew a blank on his name, but I'd like to. I maybe like a fourth and seventh, fourth and sixth. You know.
Huh. Okay. Well, Jimmy Garoppolo just got a second last year. Do you think that he could command a second rounder?
I think he I think he will command us. Like, I don't know if he. I could definitely see it, but that's personally not what I would pay for him. Because I'd like to see him have a bit more consistency in the regular season.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, with that being said, where does this leave Carson Wentz?
It changes absolutely nothing.
Okay, so is he still an MVP candidate next year?
I think if he can play the way he played before he got injured, yes.
Even though we've seen the success that someone like Nick Foles coming out as the backup has had and leading them to the Super Bowl, you don't think that maybe people are gonna go on that whole "this is a Doug Peterson, Frank Reich system" thing?
I think they will, but I don't think they're right. I think Carson Wentz is still an MVP candidate.
Okay.
And I think, and as I said on the preview show, if they had Carson Wentz, this would be a very comfortable win for the Eagles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not because of, yeah,
Keep going.
not because of how bad Nick Foles, it's just because of how great Carson Wentz is. I think if he had him, they would have won. It wouldn't have been a blowout, but I think it would have been a very comfortable win for him.
So, with that being said, you obviously mentioned the crap, wrong one. The offensive line here. Do you think that maybe the loss of Peters might not be that big of a deal if he does choose to retire?
I I don't think it'll be a big deal because Hi Vitaly, Vitaly, I'll just call him that because I'm not even gonna try and pronounce his
I don't
first name
blame you.
because I'll make myself look like an idiot. But Vitaly, he was easily their weakest link because especially in the running game, he James Harrison ate him up tonight. So yeah, I think they left tackle. I could see him maybe trading up, like say someone like a. I could see him taking someone maybe like a Martinez Rankin
Oh, goodness.
or maybe a Connor Williams if he starts to fall. Maybe they trade up for him.
Oh my God. Okay.
I could see that, but I think they need to address it. But it's not like if they don't get it, they will be like a god awful team.
Sure. So, looking at the list of free agents here, we'll start by focusing on the offensive side. Obviously, we see Braden and Graham here, but we'll start by looking at the offensive guys here. Like Garrett Blunt, we didn't really see a lot from Darren Sproles, at least
Darren
today.
Sproles got hurt. Darren Sproles has been on the IR since week 3. That's why Clement got into the rotation.
So yeah, Blunt and Burton really appear to be the big ones on the offensive side. Kind of John Barner is the returner. Are you at all worried about their offense from a free agency standpoint, even if Peters leaves? I mean, they still look like they're a top 5 to 10 offensive team next year, right?
I got worried because Burton. They. I don't think it's realistic to keep Burton. I think he'll want to go somewhere else where he can get starting because.
Yep.
So I don't think it'll be that big of. Yeah, it'll hurt for depth, but still,
Instead of
Selleck.
Ertz.
They still have Ertz and Selleck.
Uh,
Barner, I'm not really worried. Well, Garrett Blunt, if Ajayi can stay healthy, I could see him becoming a full time back. So I don't really think Blunt will probably be a bigger loss than Burton, but I don't think neither of them will be absolutely massive blows to them.
nice. So let's just stick with the Eagles here. We'll cover it team by team. Defensive side from the Eagles. We'll start with what did you like tonight? What did the Eagles do really well to help shut down, or at least shut down enough to win? I'll say it that way. The Patriots offense.
Their pass rush stepped up when it mattered. That's the main thing I took it because the pass rush for both teams were god awful tonight. They were absolutely terrible, as Charles Barkley would say. Terrible.
And what's funny is we talked about that briefly on the pregame show. And I said that the one thing that's really going to make a big difference in this game is defense and which team is going to be able to finish. And funny
In the
enough, the only team that was able to get a sack was the key first fumble by Michigan Wolverine here, Brandon Graham.
and it went to and it popped right into the hands of Derek Barnett.
Mm-hmm. There was another guy I mentioned in the pregame show. So yeah, I mean that defensive front four for the Eagles,
They stepped up when it mattered.
and they were talking about it briefly on NBC. But it seems like the key formula to beating the Patriots has always been about that front four getting to Tom Brady.
Yep, because that's when the Broncos beat the Patriots in 2015. It was the I wouldn't say front four because
It
we
was
run a
3-4,
3-4.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's the pass rush. It's the front five, the three defensive linemen and Ware and Miller. Like the pass rush when they kept getting to Tom Brady, and that's what caused him. That's what caused them to lose the game. And by they, I mean the Patriots, obviously.
Yeah.
And tonight, although there's several times, especially early on in the second quarter, that where Brady kind of looked uncomfortable. But yeah, just the Eagles, they stepped up when it counted. Brandon Graham with a great play, and went straight to Barnett. Jake Elliott with a clutch kick, and they kind of got lucky there. I kind of when on the last play when who's 13 Slater? No,
Probably. I don't know.
number 13. I thought he caught the ball on the Hail Mary at first, and then it hit the ground. So when it came to it, their defense stepped up when it mattered.
Anyone in particular? I mean, we already talked about Graham and Barnett, but maybe in the back eight that stood out to you.
Malcolm Jenkins.
Yep.
He did a great job. Basically, most of the game eliminating James White from the picture. He did a great job, man, covering him. So yeah, I think he'd had a very good game.
Yeah, and the one guy that really stood out to me for the Eagles was Jalen Mills. Now, obviously, Brandon Cooks did get hurt, so that could have played a factor to some degree. The Pats were playing three wide receivers all game, but he didn't really get burned.
There was one
Yeah,
time,
there was that one play where he gave up that. I think that was Amendola. That had a
yeah,
long
it was like a
reception.
30-40 yard touch pass. Uh,
But
yeah,
other than
minus
that,
that, he had a pretty good game.
yeah, he did really well as CB2. So I think that that was a big reason why the Eagles were able to limit the Patriots' offense. Again, we might be saying something a little bit different if Brandon Cooks plays 4 quarters, but he did what he had to do, and I think that this shows that, and even on the Patriots side, there's kind of similar in the sense where you don't really need a lot of big name guys in the secondary. I mean, obviously, in the past, we've seen teams like the Seahawks, right, with Cam
The
Chancellor and Earl
Broncos,
Thomas and Richard Sherman.
the
Uh,
Broncos with T.J. Ward, Talib, Harris.
yeah, and like all these great Super Bowl winning teams winning with their secondaries, their corners, their safeties, really defending that pass. And I think that the Eagles, in particular this year, proved that you can win with a decent corner and a decent safety. So we're looking at teams now across the league, teams like maybe, I'm a Lions fan, so I'll start with us, with Darius Slay and Glover Quinn. Or maybe the Jaguars have great corners all around.
I'm like
Um,
Jaguar. The Jets with if they can get a corner with having Jamal
Jamal
Adams.
Adams, yep. Maurice Claiborne, I don't think was too terrible.
But yeah, but what's a good team? the Bengals with William Jackson. If they can get a safety with him.
Oh man, okay. Because Derwin James, oh, that'd be kind of nasty. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot more where you don't have to have such elite talent in the secondary, and it's really coming down, at least to beat the Patriots. It's really coming down to pass rush and what you can get in your front four. So another thing I wanted to point out too is what Jimmy Schwartz did on that strip sack. I don't know how many people noticed this, but I believe he put out four defensive ends. They had Barnett, Long, Graham, and Vinny Curry out there. So all four of their defensive linemen were their DNs. And what that did was that allowed Brandon Graham, their stereotypical edge guy, to play at, I believe they had him at three tech. And I know it was inside. It was a defensive tackle
They
position.
had him on the right guard.
Yeah, it was a defensive tackle. I believe it was three tech. And that really allowed him to get that pressure to force that sack. So that's something that we could be watching for from some more innovative DCs. The coming next year, the year after that, is finding ways to get as many pass rushers onto the field at one time as possible. And the more the better. The more pass rushers you can, especially in key moments like that, the more pass rushers you can get, the better. And that's what allowed them to finish and get that sack. So, moving on to the free agents here. The big one, obviously, of course, is Nigel Braden, who, let's not take away from him. He had a great day today as well. Corey Graham, Danielle Ellerby, their middle linebacker, a couple of depth guys here. Uh, Anyone that you see being a notable loss for the Eagles?
Nigel Bradham. Yeah, I'd say Nigel Bradham. He'd be a pretty big blow to them. He's not the. He's not. He's like. He's. He is the Anthony Barr outside linebacker type, where he's not that. He doesn't rush the passer. While he's there, he's kind of a. He's a middle linebacker who plays on the outside. I know that made absolutely no sense, but it's like he's more of a like coverage reliable tackler linebacker than a pass rusher.
Hmm.
And I think he'd be a pretty big blow to them.
Yeah, so we'll go into here. I might have pushed on the wrong one. I hope not. Nope, I didn't. So quarterbacks look pretty much the same here. Wide receivers look pretty much the same. We still have Alshon Jeffrey locked up, Torrey Smith for a few years, Nelson Aguilar probably accepting his option, I would assume. Matt Collins and Shelton Gibson for some depth. Running back wise, they're losing Blunt, but you still have four capable running backs. Two of them played this well in the Super Bowl. Tight ends, we already mentioned Shea Burton. They still have Ertz. Offensive line, at least from now, they still have Jason Peters. Could
They
be,
still have Wayne Johnson.
yeah. And then, of course, Brooks and Kelsey Wisniewski, who's actually a guard. Defensive line is, of course, a lot of your big guys here. Cox,
They
Purdy,
have
Graham,
everybody
Jenkins,
coming.
Long. Brandon Graham coming up next year could be interesting. Uh, he's going to get a big payday. Linebacker wise, I think this is where the Eagles really need to focus this offseason. Obviously, they're getting Jordan Hicks back from IR. But if you're going to run 4-3 base and not a lot of nickel 4-2-5, you're going to have to bring back Nigel Bradham or look at in the draft with that 32 spot for linebacker. Secondary wise, again, just that depth and not really a lot of top tier talent. You could argue Darby's a decent CB1, I suppose, but even that's not really elite. Um, Malcolm Jenkins is easily their best secondary player. But yeah, you got Jenkins, McLeod, Darby, Jones, Mills, Douglas. That's a pretty good dime. And then finally,
You have
your
Donnie. You
favorite,
have Jake Elliott and Donnie Jones coming back.
your favorite part of the game, special teams.
We actually have to get into that in a bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to the Patriots side, but let's not forget the Eagles also did miss an extra point.
But after that, Jake Elliott was lights out. After that, he missed his first kick, and then he made all his field goals. So he did shake that off. Same really can't be said about Goskowski.
I don't even really think it was so much on the kickers, though.
Yeah, the first one wasn't on the kicker, but the field goal, the field goal that the extra point that he missed was on Goskowski. The field goal really
I'm
kind
talking
of
about Elliott,
wasn't.
too.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I think that Jones hold and that snap from Dornbos, I guess his name. Oh, Dornbos must be
No, he
cut.
played. He. I'm pretty sure he plays for the Saints
It
now.
was, yeah, Lovato. That's listed as their long snapper. Uh, a little iffy at first, but yeah, as you mentioned, they did recover nicely here. So they have 188 million in cap. They're projected to have, oh, okay, uh, yeah, you get 4.5 million cap space. So maybe we could see a Nick Foles trade. He's costing him 7.5 million. So he would free him up about enough to sign their rookies. Hmm. And that might be something to look out for pretty soon. Or they could cut Sal, he's making 5. If Peters retires, they're saving 11.5.
They could restructure Brooks's contract.
Oh, yeah. Especially with him front loaded. That could be reasonable. Fletcher Koch just got his
Curry
big
could be a
name.
restructure. Curry could be a restructure.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, Timmy Sherman gets set to get paid next year. Goodness gracious. And so is Brandon Graham. Oh man. That's gonna really put a dent in their improvement. So with that being said, let's actually touch on that. Do you think if the Eagles only really improve from the draft, they don't really go out and adjust things in free agency, outside maybe bringing back Nigel Bradham, do you think that this Eagles team can compete at the same level next year, maybe get back to the Super Bowl in the coming years if they're not able to pursue free agents? Even long term. I mean, we see obviously they're still going to be paying a lot of these guys long term.
I think next year they can definitely compete and maybe get back to the Super Bowl. But long term, I think the struggle will be more long term than or next year, because next season both of your core is going to be back, minus Bradham and probably Peters. But yeah, I'd say the struggle for them is going to be more long term than directly next season.
Yeah. So before we head on to the Patriots, let's bring up one more thing here, and that is coaching. We obviously talked about this during the pregame show, but what kind of impact do you think that uh, Pearson, Schwartz, Reich, and DeFilippo, I'll even throw him in there because he's pretty popular now, had on this game, this season, and going forward on the Eagles staff, especially if all of them return?
I'd say if you could have given the offensive coaching, the play callers on offense, Super Bowl MVP, they definitely would have won. Like their play calling minus 2 or 3 plays was absolutely spectacular tonight. Their calling was second to none. They knew how to stay aggressive. They knew when to, like they basically most of the time They knew what to call and what to call. They were spectacular. I think DeFlippo is probably the most likely to leave and become an OC somewhere.
Minnesota, perhaps.
Yeah, Minnesota, but yeah, their play calling was absolutely spectacular.
Cool. So was that good? All right. Is
Yeah,
there any final thoughts on the Eagles?
not really. Yeah, just their defense stepped up when it matters. Their offense was lights out the whole game. Their special teams came in clutch when they needed it. So yeah, overall, congrats to them. Welcome to you now know what it's like to win a title.
In football, at
Yeah, in
least.
football, the Phillies had one like a decade ago. Flyers haven't had one, I don't think, since like the 70s. But yeah, you
Phillies,
know what it's like to win a Super Bowl, Philly.
the baseball team,
Yeah,
they won a few.
yeah, but yeah, they finally know what it's like to win a Super Bowl.
Yep. So, on to the other side here. Got lots more to talk about with this one. Uh, Definitely a bit more entertaining here, a lot more moving pieces involved. So we'll start with Tom Brady. Does he retire?
No,
Just flat out no.
just no. I don't think he can. I don't. I'm pretty sure he says he will come back. I don't. There's no real reason for him to come back. I mean, to retire. If he wants to prove that he's the greatest, he get because he's like couple thousand yards away. Like he'll probably break the all-time passing yard season next year. So if I think he would probably want that and another ring. So I don't think there is really much of a chance he retires.
Okay. So obviously Brady set the Super Bowl record for passing yards again.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was the greatest quarterback performance in a Super Bowl, and bar none.
okay. Um, so what do you think about the Patriots' options long term? Obviously, you don't think he's retiring this year, so it's not something that is an immediate type of need. But what happens when they lose Tom Brady?
Oh, they. I don't know. They need to draft a quarterback this year to have a successor plan. I don't know. They could maybe back end of round one. They could take one. Maybe someone like a Mason Rudolph falls or like
Okay.
Lamar Jackson falls. I think they could possibly take him back round one. Maybe take him in round two. So I think they need to find a successor in this draft. Because I don't think Tom Brady will play another 5 years. So I think he has 3 years tops. So I think they need to definitely find a successor, and also they need to have a successor in place for Belichick because he's not going to be around forever.
Yeah, and we'll get into that when we talk about coaching staffs as well. But first, let's get into wide receivers here. First off, we'll start by what do you think about the Pack's decision to only just 4 wide receivers? Do you think that might have backfired when Brandon Cooks went down?
Yeah, I didn't agree with the decision because you have to expect someone will get hurt even if they're not out for the game. And because let's be honest, the second you saw the Cook go down, you knew he was done for the day.
Mm,
Yeah, you think that with the combination of fatigue and getting banged throughout the game, you think like Kenny Britt is not a bad receiver. I would have, I would have addressed him.
so the Pats, of course, will probably have Cooks and probably have Edelman back next year. Um,
Hogan, his contract isn't up.
yeah. So do you think that? Well, I was referring more to injuries, but
Oh.
yeah. Do you think that the Pats receiving core is going to be losing that much, or the passing game as a whole, rather, going into next year? Because keep in mind, look at their running backs. They are only keeping White and Gillisley. I'm trying to find their.
UFAs.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Solder, Burkhead, Slater. He's more of a special teamer, though. Amendola, who had
Amendola.
a big day today. Dion Lewis.
Yeah, they have some pretty big free agents.
So, I mean, do you think they're going to lose anything in the passing game?
I don't know. I think Amendola. I think it. I like Amendola as a third slot receiver, so I think he could be not. He wouldn't be the biggest blow, but I think he'd be a nice piece to bring back. And Burkhead, he could be a good passing running back, and because when he got his 3 carries, he did pretty well with him. So I think he could be a nice role player.
So of course the Packs have a little bit more cap space to work with here. They do have, I saw 20 million somewhere. It was back on the multi-year page. Is there anyone from that list on the offensive side that you would? There's 19.5 million. Do you see anyone on the offensive side of the ball that they should really target to bring back? You mentioned Amendola.
Nate
Maybe
Soldier,
Soldier. Yeah.
yeah, Nate Soldier is the main key one because he's the blindside protector of Tom Brady. Brady's not getting younger, so I don't I don't know if he could give. There's really anybody that can give the immediate impact that Soldier has right now. So I think he's priority number one should be bringing Soldier back. If say Gronkowski comes back, which according to him is not a certain thing.
And yeah, actually, that's where we're heading next. Is we do see Gronk here. Do you think he leaves?
I don't know if he leaves. I think it would be smart because you've done all you can do, you know? You've done everything you can do. You've won, what is it? You've won 2 Super Bowls?
Mm-hmm.
He's won 2 Super Bowls. He is top 5 tight end of all time. So I you you want to be able to. I think for his considering the injuries he's had, I
Yep.
think it would be smart for him to walk away because what else can you do exactly other than break records, which will take more years and years, which will increase long term damage. So I think he should walk away because there's not really much he can do at this point with what he's already done.
So where does that leave the Patriots should he decide to retire? Do you think that Daniel Allen and Hollister, who a lot of Pax fans do happen to like, by the way, is a good way to go?
I don't. Yeah, if you do decide to go with Martellus Bennett, I think it needs to be a lot cheaper than what he's making now. I'd pay him like 3-4 million, but I don't think it'll be enough because Dwayne. I don't know. Maybe Jacob Hollister is as good as Patriots fans say, but right now I don't. The Patriots had relied on tight end depth because you had Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. Gronkowski and Bennett was pretty good until Bennett decided to get, but Bennett was actually hurt, and because he
Yeah.
faked his way out of Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when they had Bennett until he actually got hurt. So yeah, I think they need to get another tight end to increase the depth.
Right. Finally, before we get into a couple other things here, we have offensive line. So obviously they have Solder to add to this list. Solder, Thune or Tooney, Andrews, Mason, and keep in mind Marcus
And
Cannon was out. He is on IR. So thoughts on that core for the Patriots? Stay, rebuild, go.
I'd say if you could, I'd say just stay with what you have if you can bring Soldier back. I'd say stay with what you have. I don't. I think it's a good line. I. Sorry about that. But yeah, I think it's a pretty decent line. So I would just stay the course with it if you can bring Soldier back.
Nice. So on the offensive side, if Gronkowski does decide to leave, maybe Amendola leaves, but they do decide to bring Soldier back and give him what he asks for. Uh, is this an offense that can duplicate what they've done the past few years, or do they
No,
need to add more
what
pieces?
with what Gronkowski brings to you, Gronkowski brings so many things when he's on the field. So having him would be a humongous blow to them. So I don't think they will be as good if Gronkowski leaves, even if they bring back Amendola and Soldier.
Okay, so how can you help make up for that loss? I mean, Patriots want to get back to the Super Bowl.
It's the Patriots. They'll find out a way. They'll probably draft. They'll go. They'll probably sign my neighbor to a deal, and he'll become the first team All Pro next year. 'Cause that's what Patriots do for some reason.
Okay,
But no, on the real though, see draft someone like a Mark Andrews or a Fumagalli.
nice. Jasicki. Oof.
Seki, but yeah. My main issue with Jaseki is he can't block, and although Gronk isn't a great blocker, he's still pretty decent in that category. Not decent, he's serviceable in that category, like with Chips and something where Fumagalli is just his blocking is non-existent.
So, on a similar note, the Patriots might also be losing, might, keyword here, Josh McDaniels. A little bit of drama ensued during the actual game somehow. Again, it seems like all the coaching drama happens in the middle of the game now, where it was released or leaked or however you want to put it, that McDaniels hasn't told the Patriots that he's leaving and that he may not be the Colts head coach after all. So, we'll start with, do you think he actually is taking the Colts head coaching job, or is this actually a thing?
I think he's going to take the Colts head coaching job. I think he intentionally leaked it so he can get more money.
Okay. Interesting theory.
But no, I think he will take the Colts job. The only reason I don't see him taking the job is if somehow Belichick retires and he becomes their head coach.
So, how does the loss of McDaniels maybe impact? Because like their play call, you mentioned the Eagles play calling. Uh, how was the
The
Patriots?
Patriots wasn't much worse. They weren't. They were pretty. McDaniels did a pretty damn good job too.
So could his loss next year make an impact?
I I think it'll. I think it will make an impact, but there's multiple guys that you could. I could see him maybe trying to get a John to football because why not?
Oh,
That would be. I would absolutely cry if that happened.
the Filippo in India or the Filippo in New England?
The Flippo and New England.
My goodness.
I could see him because no offense to the Vikings and Colts, would you rather go to Indianapolis, Minnesota, or the New England? I would go to New England if I had those choices.
It really
That's
depends on
just
what
me.
Minnesota or what the Philippa wants to do, though. Because in Minnesota, he'd be able to build his own quarterback, and with Indy, he obviously, as an offensive coordinator, he'd have their better side of the ball. They have Andrew Luck, just a little bit more longevity and long-term security there.
But yeah, I think Patricia, we'll get to him in a minute, but no. But yeah, I think it'll be a loss because he calls some. He knows how to make adjustments and he knows what to call when. So I think it'll be a loss for them. I don't think it'll be the end of the world, but I think it'll be a pretty big loss. Another firework just went off.
Oh boy. Any final thoughts on the Patriots offense and where you see them going, what they've done this year, anything, this game?
Yeah, again, like the Eagles, they had a very good play. Their offense was just as good, if not better, than the Eagles. But the defense didn't step up, and the special teams didn't step up. So that was really what made the difference.
So, with that said, on to the defense. We see here the free agents. Obviously, all the story about Malcolm Butler, Jonathan
Yeah, Butler gone.
Shashimosi, Nate Ebner, James Harrison, Gino Grissom, and Marquise Flowers, amongst others. So, any particular losses that you see from the Patriots side?
I'm gonna go James Harrison.
Okay.
I think if he comes back, the main thing is will he retire? Because if he decides to come back, I don't see him signing with anybody but New England.
Or Pitt.
I don't think he'll go back to Pitt the way that relationship ended,
Okay.
and I don't see them contending for a Super Bowl. Pitt Steelers contending
Wow.
for a Super Bowl for a while.
Oh my. Okay. Bold.
So no, I think if he doesn't retire, he'll go back to New England. So I think the main thing will convincing him not to retire, just give it one more run to try and win a Super Bowl. But because he absolutely just wrecked Vitae tonight in run defense, he could be that situational run defender and pass rusher sometimes, but mainly a run stopper because he absolutely wrecked shit up.
And he did make that nice playing coverage as well on third down.
Yeah, but he wrecked. Yeah, I think he'll be a sizable loss if that makes any sense, which it absolutely does not. He'll be a pretty big loss for them.
Nice.
But other than that, not really. I don't see much. Marquise Flowers he's cool, but wouldn't be as big as a loss as with Harry. I'd say mainly Flowers and Harrison.
So, one guy you didn't mention is Malcolm Butler. What do you think went down with him? Yeah, obviously we're assuming he's not going back to New England after that
Oh God, no.
debacle.
Because he said they gave up on him.
So any ideas on A, maybe what happened, B, where he's going to go, and C, did that impact the game at all from the defensive side?
I think it would have been worse if Butler played over Eric Rowe, excuse me.
Well, he wouldn't have played over Rowe. Rowe would have been nickel. He would have played over Badamosi.
Yeah, I don't think he would have made much of a difference because I thought Rowe did a better job on the outside than Butler could have. So I think Cole Rowe could be a legit number 2 for them. So I don't think Butler will be a loss for him. Why he played, I don't know. I can't see it because of an injury or illness, because he would have been on the injury report.
Yeah.
But I don't care if he's injured. or he's sick, it's the fucking Super Bowl. Pardon my
And he did
language.
play special teams.
Yeah, he didn't play special teams. It's like, so I don't know if he like missed a practice or missed a curfew or both or something off the field happened. It had to be off the field. Or he pissed off like Belichick or Patricia or whoever the corner coach is, but he did something off the field that pissed off Belichick.
And then third part of the question, where do you think he ends up?
I'd say the two most likely are New Orleans or Houston.
Huh, okay. You don't think he follows one of the Patriots coaches? McDaniels or Patricia?
I maybe Detroit, but I think he wants to be a cornerback number one, and that's what Houston. Actually, probably if he wants to be a cornerback number one, then Houston's his only choice because I don't think he'll be a cornerback over Lattimore, Vontae Davis, or Slay.
Well, Vontae Davis cut.
That is a very good point. So Indy is a very good possibility. Yeah, that completely crossed my mind.
So yeah, maybe Indy and Houston, New Orleans. If he gets paid, I don't think he would mind being a CB2 unless he gets the money.
Yeah.
Personally. So yeah, that could be a fun story to watch over the offseason. This isn't a Dante Hightower situation where it's like, oh, he might come back. Oh, he might not. Oh, he might not come back. I think it's pretty clear that he's not
He
coming
out.
back.
Yeah, he gone.
So, with that said, let's take a look at their future aspects here and what they've got going on long term. When this votes. Yeah, okay. Defensive line. So, Patriots defensive line, as you guys can probably tell from that list alone, not really that flashy, especially when you compare it to Philadelphia's side. Do you think that defensive line made an impact in this game for New England?
No, maybe in the running game, but but other than that, possibly no. They had absolutely no impact.
So you don't think their lack of getting pressure made any impact in the game at all?
I thought you meant positive impact, but no. They had a negative impact on the game because they couldn't get pressure on Foles. And when they did, they could not finish the tackles.
Yep. I'm going back to my
So no,
point yesterday about finishing.
but no, they had a negative impact on the game for the Patriots. And the thing is, Alan Branch didn't play.
I think he's on IR.
No, he was an inactive today, so he
Oh.
would have been on the 53. Malcolm Brown was probably their best defensive lineman today.
Lawrence Guy and Trey Flowers?
Yeah, they both had okay games on the run, but Malcolm Brown was pretty. I thought he had the best day against the run.
Yeah, see, I like what Lawrence Guy brought to the pass rush. He got a bit of interior pressure on Foles on those stunts, so he would have been my pick. But this does bring up an interesting point, like we talked about with Philadelphia. How much of an impact does the pass rush have on Super Bowl? I mean, is pass rush something that we're going to be looking at down the road? Like we talked about this with secondary, like you don't really need like that big impact secondary. We see what the Patriots pass rush did. I mean, not to take down
Nothing.
the Eagles' offensive line here, but the Packs' defensive line isn't really anything special. Do you think they need a special defensive line, or at least a special defensive lineman, to get to and or win the Super Bowl?
You know. Yeah, I think they need a pretty special. I think they need. I don't know if they could get a pass rusher. They like a 3-4 outside linebacker at or like a outside linebacker or a defensive lineman, but they need a pass rusher bad because it showed one team had a pass rusher in the end and one team didn't.
Well, I'm even talking about like the NFL in general. I mean, take like the Saints or the Vikings or the Steelers or the Chargers or the or any other
Every
football team.
team that went far had a good pass rush. So pass rush can get them far. It's just when can they step up to the big situation. So I think the league will have more of a focus on pass rushing soon.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with that. Is I mean, especially after seeing the Eagles' defensive line, pass rush definitely seems to be a key thing for teams to look into. Uh, and honestly, I mean, if you, well, I have to bring this up again, but NFL team sacks, and we'll see where this takes us. My guess is that a lot of the teams that are toward the top are going to be playoff teams, and a lot of the teams toward the bottom are probably going to be bottom of the league lottery. Well, not lottery because they stay in basketball, but top 10 type pick for the most part. Obviously, there's a couple exceptions. It's postseason. Regular season here.
Why do they have a 2002 regular season?
That's how far back
The
it
hell?
goes.
Oh. Well, why does it go from.
They have all the postseasons together and all the regular seasons together.
Ah.
Hello? Okay. Sacks. Hello? Sort. Oh my goodness, this is taking a lot longer than I thought.
Dandy.
Here we go. And yeah,
Pittsburgh, number
exactly.
one.
Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Carolina, LA, Tennessee, all made the playoffs. The Chargers were like, what, one game out? New
The
England, New
Bears was the
Orleans.
exception. Washington was close. Baltimore was was one down for making the playoffs.
Meanwhile, at the bottom, Tampa Bay, top 10 pick, top 5 pick, top 5 pick. Made the playoffs, so
Buffalo,
Buffalo's an exception there. Jets,
top
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 10
five, top
pick,
10,
top 10,
top
close to top 10, etc. So, yeah, we're seeing outside of Buffalo and the Chargers,
in
um,
Kansas City
we're seeing
because they had a
we're seeing a pretty tight correlation here. Obviously, the Eagles were middle of the pack. New England top 10 is, I would say, average, above average. Uh, so it's definitely something where uh, we like to see teams adjust pass rush in the offseason and really look to find their guy. Your thoughts on that?
yeah they need. So what was the question? Do they need to find their guy or will they?
No, just not New England, just the league in general. Do you think that teams are
Yeah,
going to go out this offseason and maybe overpay for an edge guy or maybe reach for an edge guy in the draft? Like, you could argue the Eagles with Barnett last year didn't really need an edge, but they took one anyway.
but yeah, I think the league will go towards a pass rush heavy league because the league is a passing league, and it showed that the better the better pass rushing teams made the playoffs. So yeah, I think the league will go more towards trying. I think if you're an edge guy, it's a pretty good year to be a free agent if you're an edge.
For sure. So with that, we move on to linebackers. Obviously, Dante Hightower was hurt. So I actually touched on that for a little bit. Do you think Dante Hightower being hurt, maybe deciding, well, not necessarily deciding, but a key factor in this thing?
Yeah, I think a key factor. It was a key factor. Dante Hightower is their main linebacker, and having him was clearly a big blow.
Because Landon
And
Roberts was their starter.
yeah, there's a big difference between Landon Roberts and Dante Hightower. So I think it was a pretty big deal that he was not playing.
And even Derek Rivers, really thoughts on him?
Did he play much?
He was on IR as well.
Oh, yeah, I'm a fan of him. I think he can do pretty. He has good potential. So I think him and Hightower together will be pretty good next year for the Patriots. So I think their linebacker core can and will improve without having to do much.
Yeah. Now, another guy, you and actually a couple of other people mentioned to me after the game today, was Kyle Van Noy. I'm pretty sure you said something about him to me in, the group, in one of the group chats. Thoughts on what he did today, just for the video?
What?
Kyle Van Noy?
I don't think I said anything.
Oh, okay, must be something else. But okay, well, even then, just your thoughts on what Van Noy was able to do today?
I didn't think he would do well, to be honest, and he surprised me. He had a good game against the run. He tried. He at least made an effort to get some pressure, which it seemed like the Patriots didn't some of the time. But yeah, I think he had a pretty he had a pretty good game.
So anyone else in the linebacker crew really stick out? Obviously, we covered the two starters with Roberts and Van Noy, the two guys who were hurt with Hightower and Rivers.
Yeah, those are the main guys there. I really don't have much else.
So, skipping a little bit ahead here because we're on linebackers. What are your thoughts about Brian Flores?
The linebacker coach.
Yeah. The guy who was rumored to be in the head coaching gig for Arizona, and could be a DC either in Detroit, New England, or possibly Indianapolis.
Yeah, I think it showed that considering he had pretty good, he did very good considering what he had to work with. So I think he had a pretty good game.
Or at least his players played better than. Like
Yeah, better. He did.
But. All right, was that all?
Yeah.
Okay. Secondary. Obviously, a couple more big names here. Anyone you want to touch on first?
Um. Eric, he's not listed. Actually, never mind. I'm tripping. Eric Rowe. He kind of like Jalen Mills. He had a very good game as the cornerback too. He did very good on the coverage all day. He didn't. Oh, was he the one who allowed the deep ball to Jeffrey for that touch? He was the one who allowed the touchdown to Jeffrey.
Not sure.
But no, he had a very good game. I thought he did pretty well. I thought he did very well.
Huh. All right, was that your only guy or anyone else?
Yeah, he was the main. Gilmore did pretty decent, but Eric Rowe was the main one who stood out for me.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna reverse on that. I'm gonna say that Gilmore was the guy that really stood out to me. The second half, he really shut down Alshon Jeffrey to a very successful degree. After Alshon really the whole Patriots secondary in the first half. Uh, Patricia and Belichick made that adjustment, shadowed Gilmore on Alshon, and it really worked out for them in the second half. From the safety side, anyone there or
The only play that Jordan Richards had a big impact on, he got burned.
yeah, that was really disappointing. Really
So
disappointing.
I didn't see what you liked in him. Maybe he had a bad game or nothing, but yeah, the safeties. Chung had a pretty good game. His zone coverage wasn't great, but yeah, I thought he had a pretty good game when it came to a run game.
Well, it's interesting. The two guys you didn't touch on are obviously the biggest name of the bunch in Devin McCourty and the guy who got the interception today, the only one of the day, and Duron Harmon. So maybe it's the fact that you didn't mention Devin McCourty at all, maybe a knock on how poor he was relative to expectation. Because, I mean, you look at this list, and you could make the argument that he's probably their most talented defensive player outside of Hightower.
Yeah. Yeah, Devin McCourty was very disappointing for me today.
Is there anything that you didn't like?
It's not that I didn't like I thought he could have done more. Like I I thought he could have done better with some coverages. I thought he could have been better in the running game. Overall, I was just disappointed in him.
Yeah.
So now to my favorite part of the field, special teams.
Opening remarks.
I bit Goskowski made me bite myself in the ass when I said that he was the more consistent kicker than Jake Elliott. Yeah, that was shocking that he missed the field goal wasn't that fall because that went right through Allen's hand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised they even got a kick off. To be honest, I thought it was going to be he just fell on the ball. But yeah, the extra point, he just absolutely shanked that. It wasn't. It was a bad hole. It was a bad kick. So yeah, I was shocked that he missed as much as he did.
So well, we'll start with the actual players first. Is long snapper maybe Joe Cardona cut?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, he had a low snap. The first one, he had a low snap. But at the same time, I think Ryan Allen should have collected that field goal. Wow, I am stupid. Should have grabbed that snap because it went right through his hands. So I think that one was more on Ryan than Cardona. But yeah, I think it's possible he gets cut this offseason.
So let's move on a little bit here. Staying with special teams, what do you think about Joe Judge? He's normally, I would say, a top 3 or so special teams coordinator in
But
football.
what was he doing at the end of that game with that reverse bullshit?
Yeah, I was about to ask you the
Yeah,
same
I'm
thing.
ruining our monetization chances with this. Not like we make money from this anyway, but in the future when we want to monetize this, yeah, we're getting that yellow $ because of my mouth. So sorry about that. But yeah, at first I thought I was like, what is Lewis doing? That's an idiotic play. And then I looked at him like, okay, Judge, what are you doing? That's an idiotic play. Like, I don't understand why you do that play. Yeah, I don't understand it.
And their kickoff coverage?
Yeah, they had their kickoff coverage wasn't that good. He 20 every year, every kickoff, they got like most if not every kickoff, the Eagles got like 15, 20, 25, 30 yards on the return. So I thought their kick overall a piss poor performance by the special teams today. And the only thing Ryan Allen did was that missed. The only
Plays
big
that
thing that
Ryan made.
Allen did was that missed snap that went through his hand because he didn't punt.
Yeah, there was one punt on the day, and it was the Eagles.
Yeah, so yeah, overall horrific job by the Patriots special teams.
So, I think this is quite obvious where I'm going, but is this a situation where special teams cost the Patriots this game?
I wouldn't say it's the main reason is that they couldn't stop Nick Foles for anything, you know? Like I'm confident I could have done one Super Bowl MVP because I thought, yeah, but Patriots they left 4 points on the
They left it
board.
4 actual points on the board from their misses, but that's not
Yeah,
including field position and things like that too. That I
but
mean, you
yeah,
can make
no,
the
they left
argument
at
that.
least 4 points on the board. So yeah, I think special teams is one of the key reasons they lost.
And the other thing too is like it often goes without saying, but as part of those misses, I mean, particularly that missed field goal, that's field position.
Yeah,
And we
it
talked
gave
about their coverage, that's field position.
yeah.
So I mean, obviously, we had to go back and look at each individual drive to assess
I'm
how.
pretty sure the missed field goal that was the only punt because after that drive Philly went 3-and-out.
Okay.
So the missed field goal didn't turn into anything, but the extra point Philly pretty. Let me go look on my phone real quick. Let me confirm that I'm not absolutely talking out of my.
Well, extra point doesn't exactly affect field position.
But it doesn't affect field possession, but it ruins momentum.
Did the Patriots really have any momentum at any point?
Yeah, I thought they had. I thought they had some momentum after. I thought they had momentum after the pick, and then they rocked down, got the score to make it 15-12. I thought they had the momentum at that point.
And you
And
were
then,
right. I mean, we're talking a 16-minute game. One drive is not really.
yeah, I wouldn't really. Yeah, I really. They're minus that one drive. They had no momentum, but they had momentum, and then he missed the extra point. And then what happened? Philly walked down, make it a 10-point game. So I don't understand how. I don't know if it's whether it's a preparation thing or what, but the special teams were poor today, and that's putting it kindly.
So, obviously, we talked about this a little bit on the offensive side, but looking at it as a whole, is the Patriots are losing. They're losing Patricia, and there's a good chance that they lose McDaniels. It's looking likely that Josh is going to follow McDaniels or Patricia to New England or Indy.
And after tonight, Belichick probably isn't complaining.
And there's a chance that the Belichick and Brady are gone, maybe if not this year or next year, very, very soon, to say the least.
Probably they're both gone within. I'd say Brady's gone within 3. Belichick is gone within 4 to 5.
Is the Patriots dynasty over or ending or neither?
I'd say it's in the twilight. I wouldn't say it's over necessarily.
But it's coming to an end?
Yeah, it's coming to it's close to being over. I'd say if they don't win the Super Bowl next year, the dynasty is over.
Nice. So, with that being said, are the Eagles the next dynasty or is it someone else?
I don't. To be honest, there's not really any team in the NFL that you could say really is a dynasty. Has potential to be a dynasty right now.
Eagles win the Super Bowl next year back to back. They have a
Yeah,
case?
Yeah, if they win back to back, it's a case. But I don't know if they will. I don't know if they will go back to back though.
Well, I mean, they're getting Carson Wentz back at quarterback, and their only real loss is Nigel Bradham.
Yeah, I think they. It's a. I don't. They have a good chance. They definitely have the talent,
They
but
have the
I don't
coaching.
know if they will. Yeah, and the coaching, but again, it's a long NFL season. You don't know. You can't say 5 hours after 3 to 5 hours after one season ended. You could say that this team is going to win back-to-back Super Bowls. That's the point I'm saying. I'm not saying they can't or they won't. I'm just saying it's it's too early to say whether they will.
Okay, well, even if they go 2 in the next 3 or 4 or 5.
Yeah, if they could win 2-5 or 3-7, they certainly have a case. Because in hockey, the Blackhawks, they won 3-7. They're considered a dynasty. So yeah, I think if they can win like three in like a decade, it'd definitely be if they can win three this decade, it'd definitely be a dynasty.
Well, this decade is almost over, to be fair. We're only one Super Bowl left.
How about in the next I mean, decade from 2018 to 2028? That's what I mean.
Fair.
A decade from when they won the Super Bowl to something.
So, any final thoughts? Anything you want to take a look at, and anything else you want to discuss about this game or going into the future?
No, I'm good if you are.
Sweet. Yeah, I think we pretty much covered stats. We covered covering free agents. Uh, Playoffs. Let's just, while we're at it, who is the best team in the playoffs, other than, of course, Philadelphia, after winning the Super Bowl? And is there any team that you like going into the off season? Do you think they're in a good position to improve? Do you think that maybe they're in a good position to get to the playoffs next year after missing the playoffs this year? That type of deal?
I'd say this is me being a homer, but I'd say the Broncos have a pretty decent chance. If we can get a quarterback without sacrificing a lot of our secondary, for second our defense is as not as good, but as last year or 2015. But it needs if it's on an elite level with our quarterback. I think they I think that we have a decent chance of getting it back to the playoffs.
Nice. What playoff team did you like this year other than Philly? I mean, is there a team that you could point to next year and say they're a team that's going to go back to the playoffs next year?
Jacksonville.
Okay, interesting.
Their defense, they're not 2015 Broncos. I don't care what you say, Malik Jackson. But yeah, their secondary is young. Boye is young. Ramsey is young. Ngakwe, their defensive line minus Campbell and is young, basically. So their defense will still be getting better. Fournette will be getting better. Their whole team will be getting better. I think the piece that'll put them truly into Super Bowl contention is a
Quarterback.
new quarterback. I don't think they will get a new one because I don't know because you want the Blake Bortles fax Twitter to stay alive. I don't know. That's the only reason I can come up with some justification for keeping him.
So this is backtracking a couple weeks here. But I mean, we just talked about the Patriots. They're getting older. They're losing coaches. They might be losing Brady soon, etc. If New England gets worse and Jacksonville gets better, and Jacksonville was only 1 or 2 plays away from beating New England this year in New England, is there a case that Jacksonville could beat New England next year when they meet?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a chance they could beat him.
Just simply with their core
Absolutely.
that they already have in place, even if they keep Bortles and they don't really improve this offseason?
I don't necessarily know they need to bring in new players to succeed. to improve. Just their players getting older and better could will improve the team.
Yeah.
So I definitely think there's a chance they can win next season, beat New England next season.
Is there anyone else in the AFC that you think can knock the Pats off?
At this point, not really.
Oh, okay.
I think the Steelers are going to crumble soon.
Okay, interesting. Any reason why?
Just there's two. I guess kind of there's too many, not egos necessarily, but yeah, it's just Bell. If Bell Big Ben's gonna is in the Brett Favre stage of the career where every year it's whether he retires or not. He's in the Brett Favre stage of his career. Le'Veon Bell, there's a good possibility he leaves, so that's 2 or 3 big players gone. Your defense isn't particularly that great, especially if Shazier can't play again. So yeah, I think they're going to be declining.
Not worried at all about anyone in the AFC South.
But huh?
Not worried at all about anyone in the AFC South. Tennessee getting Mike Rabel next year. Maybe the Colts getting McDaniels and Luck back. Maybe the Texans with Deshaun Watson coming back healthy. Obviously, well, we already talked about Jacksonville, but is there any one of those teams you think could play a factor in this?
Yeah, the main other one is
Or
the main.
Buffalo?
I'd say yeah, it's yeah. I maybe Houston if everyone can stay healthy. But other than that, I would say it's the Jags are probably the favorite to take them down.
So, when the Patriots start to fall, whether that be next year or in the future, what team do you think takes over for them in the East? Is it going to be Buffalo with McDermott? Is it going to be the Jets with their building young core and Todd Bowles?
I think it could be the. I think it'll be the Jets.
Hmm.
I think it'll be the Jets because they have a good young defensive core. If they can get some defense right now, yeah, I think yeah, I think the Jets are the likely choice.
Huh. So, what are your thoughts about Buffalo then? Obviously, they just made the playoffs this year. They have 2 first rounders.
I don't know. I don't know with Buffalo because it's just their offense was like non-existent a lot of the times during the season. So I think if they can get their offense, they could be they can contend with the Jets.
Huh. So, anything else that you really want to bring up? Maybe anyone in the NFC? Anyone you should see taking down Philly next year? Dethroning them as NFC champs?
NFC chance or not? No, not in the division. Well, I
Well,
don't
we'll start
know.
with the NFC and then move to the division.
NFC, I could see this. I could see the Vikings wanting some revenge. Could see the Falcons. Um,
Panthers, Saints.
Panthers. Basically, the NFC South minus the Buccaneers and the Packers if Aaron Rodgers can carry them.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the main ones are the NFC South minus the Buccaneers the Packers and the Vikings.
Interesting. So you're not really worried about Seattle anymore. You're not really worried about Arizona with their possible new quarterback. You're
No,
not really worried about the
I'm not.
uh, who else is out there?
Cowboys.
Cowboys is the one. Yeah, I was gonna get to them with division. So let's just carry over that in the division.
No, I'm not worried about the Cowboys because
Or the Giants or the
yeah,
other team.
I'm not worried about the Giants, the Redskins.
Redskins.
Yeah, or the Cowboys. The Cowboys, their defense, their defense needs a major overhaul right now. At this point,
Okay.
so there's that. And it shows that they're dependent on Zeke because Dak without Zeke is an average quarterback. So yeah, I'm not really worried about the Cowboys. I'd say.
Nice. So, any final thoughts on the playoffs this season? Patriots or Eagles?
No, not really. Just I'd like to forget this season. What comes to the Broncos?
Well, if that's
Yeah,
the case, then I think that'll do it for at least the Super Bowl recap and the playoffs recap of this as well. So hope you
yeah,
guys had a great time watching the Super Bowl. Definitely a very interesting way to go out without the Patriots on top for the first time in 365 days. And yeah, we will see you guys again soon. So for now, peace out.